What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Industrial Guitars. The good word of the day is set up. This is going to be the first in a series of videos showing you the steps I take when setting up any guitar. Today, the subject for this video is this Taylor GS Mini. The owner is complaining it's a little hard to play and the fretboard is scratching her fingers. So let's figure out why and what we can do about it. Stick around. First thing I want to do, take a couple measurements on the guitar. First one being the action. The action is high. I can see it. The high E, it is about 6/64 and 7/64 on the bass. Let's check the neck. With a capo on the first fret, there's not a lot of relief. It's pretty tight. The neck is straight. Just the action's high. Let me check the nut height. By eye, it looks pretty good. It's about 25 on the low E. It's about 23 probably. 23 and 25. You can see how much you gotta push down to get this first fret to play. So that could be improved a little bit as well. We're going to take a little bit off the saddle. That'll get the action good. And we're going to do something about these fret ends. Let's get these strings off of here. We'll start on the frets. Let me just mark this. Let's put a B on the bass side, just so I know for sure. Okay, let's take a look at these frets. It seems like the sharpness is coming from the tang. I'm going to take a fret dressing file and just run it flush with the side of the fingerboard. And that seemed to do the trick. That's way better. I don't want to put any tape on here because that'll affect how much I can remove, and I won't be able to get it perfectly flush. If it makes a little mark, I can always buff that out, but the main thing here is you want to get that removed. So this file has a safe edge and it's got a sharp edge. So right in this corner here, where it meets the fingerboard, you put the flat side down and you hit that corner from both sides. Sometimes when you file it on the face, it leaves a little burr on the edge, and then you can take your safe side, which is your rounded side, and roll it over the fret. And that puts a little rounded edge right on there and cleans it up. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the frets like that, both sides, and I'll bring you back, take you to the next step. Okay, that's pretty good. I didn't need to do anything to the ends. It's just the tang sticking out. So I was able to get that nice and flush. But you can feel it, especially on this treble side, and feel it sticking out. Feel it sticking out here. So I can't really get in here with the file to dress it this way. I'll put some tape on the body. I'm going to use this fret end file. I'm going to run it along that tang, just in this area. That cleaned that up. This guitar wasn't too bad. Lots of guitars this time of the year, they have this issue. And a lot of them are really bad, but this one's not too bad. So, getting back to the setup portion of this guitar, I'm going to check these frets just to make sure there's no high frets. And I run a rocker. A little rock here in the 3rd fret. Okay, just on this 3rd fret. Just want to make sure that it's sitting flat, that it's seated all the way down. One way you can check, you take a super thin 1,000.5 feeler gauge. See if you can slide it underneath the fret. Is it going? Yeah, see, you can see it sliding underneath the fret. So there's a little gap underneath this fret. So I'm just going to take the plastic hammer, see if I can seat that in there. See if that rock goes away now. Yeah, that took care of that. Now, let me clean up the fretboard, polish the frets, put a new set of strings on here, and then we'll set the action and set this nut height. Just gonna take some steel wool. And you can use steel wool on a rosewood, ebony, any kind of fingerboard that's not finished. If this was a maple that had a polyurethane or, a finish on it, then you don't want to do this. You want to mask off your board. But if it's a dark wood, you don't have to mask off the board. And this actually cleans it up as well. I'll wipe it off once and then I'll come back in a few minutes and wipe it off again. I go get a set of strings. So the strings she got are 11 gauge. There were 13s on here, so that may affect the action. So going from a 13 gauge to 11 gauge could cause this to go into a bit of a back bow. It was already very little relief. We'll have to see what this does when I put these strings on here. Just real quick, I want to show you how I wind a string. Everybody's got their own way of doing this. I don't like to pinch it or do any knots or anything like that. So put the string in, make sure it's tight from the saddle, grab it at the nut, pull it back. On the low E string, I just pull it back a little bit past the fret, and then I'll just start winding it to the inside. Pinch it on both sides like that. That gets you exactly 2.5 wraps. On the high strings, I'll pull it back about 1.5 frets so I can get about 3 wraps. Okay, Okay, now it is up to pitch. Let's see what the neck is doing. There's not a lot of relief in there at all. So what's going on is there's a little buzz down here, and I think it's because the neck is too straight. So let me put a little relief in the neck and see if that goes away. To put a relief in the neck actually means to adjust the truss rod and loosen it. Because remember I said she went from 13s down to 11s. It's not putting as much pull on the neck, and it's allowing it to sit a little too flat. It's good to have a little bit of a relief in this neck. A little bit, not too much. Okay, I turned it about a quarter turn. So now we got some relief. The action's still high. Still 7 and 6. If I can get that down to 5 and 6, I'm going to take a 30-second off here. So I'm going to take a 32 thousandths feeler gauge, lay it down, and a nice sharp pencil. Let's draw a line. Now I've got a line scribed, and I'm going to take this over to the belt sander. I'm going to just touch the line, and I'm going to clean it up by hand. Now try as you may, whenever you hold it by hand on the belt sander, it never comes out exactly square. You want this bottom face to be exactly square with the sides. So I like to finish it off by hand. Here I just have a piece of sandpaper, 220, stuck down to this board that's flat, and then I have this leveling beam here put next to the paper. So now I can take the saddle, push it against the side of this beam, slide the whole beam. Now I can see the line is just about gone. Let's try and see how this looks. Now I'll put the strings back on and see where the action is. Now it's back up to pitch. Let's see where we're at with the action. Four 64ths, 6 64ths. Definitely better. That's more playable now. But it is much easier to play, and it's not as hard to push down on this first fret, because the action's lower and it kind of corrected itself. I think this little GS Mini is ready for action. Thanks for joining me. If you hadn't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do it now. Got more setups and repairs and restorations and modifications coming down the road. Come on back.